Hey there, friends. Are you ready for an awesome story? Picture this, a big airplane packed with people. Everyone's walking around, looking for their seats. Bags are stuffed in the overhead bins, and kids are giggling in the aisles. The engines hum softly, and the air smells like snacks and coffee. It's just a regular day up in the sky, or at least, that's what everyone thinks. But hold on tight, because something huge is about to happen, and it's going to surprise everybody on this plane. Before I tell you more, I've got a fun job for you. Grab your pencil or just think about this in your head and answer these questions. Have you ever been treated unfairly? Like, maybe someone was mean to you for no reason? And what would you do if that happened? Tell me all about it in the comments down below. Oh, and if you like cool stories like this one, hit that big red subscribe button right now so you don't miss out. Plus, I'm curious, where are you watching from today? Are you at home? At school? Maybe on a bus? Let me know in the comments, too. I love hearing from you guys. Okay, now let's meet our main guy. His name is Jamal Carter. Imagine a tall man with a bright, friendly smile. He's got a little backpack slung over one shoulder, and he's wearing a simple blue shirt and jeans. Jamal looks like a regular person, doesn't he? He's just walking down the skinny airplane aisle, counting the numbers above the seats. 10. 11. 12, he says to himself. He stops at seat 12B, right by the window. It's his spot, and he's excited to sit down, look out at the clouds, and relax. The plane's going to take off soon, and Jamal's ready for a smooth trip. He's not bothering anyone. He's just chilling, minding his own business. But wait, not everyone on this plane is happy to see Jamal. Nope, not at all. There's someone watching him, and she's already frowning. Her name is Linda. She's the flight attendant, the lady who walks around helping people on the plane. Linda's got sharp eyes that can spot a messy seat from a mile away. Her hair's pulled back tight, and her uniform is super neat. She's carrying a little clipboard, and she talks with a loud voice that makes everyone listen. People on this plane think Linda's the boss. They think she runs everything up here in the sky, like it's her own special kingdom. If someone spills a drink, Linda's there to tell them to clean it up. If someone's too loud, Linda shushes them fast. Everyone's a little scared of her, because Linda doesn't mess around. Most days, Linda's in charge, and she likes it that way. She walks up and down the aisles with her head held high, telling people what to do. Put your bag up here, she'll say. Or, sit down, we're about to fly. The passengers nod and do what she says, because Linda's got that bossy vibe. She's been doing this job for years, and she thinks she knows everything about planes and people. But today? Oh, today is not like other days. Today, something's different, and Linda doesn't even know it yet. She's about to meet Jamal, and that's where the fun starts. See, Jamal's just standing there by seat 12B, ready to sit down. He's got his ticket in his hand. It's a little piece of paper that says Jamal Carter, seat 12B. Easy, right? He slides his backpack off his shoulder and starts to put it under the seat. He's quiet, polite, and ready to enjoy his flight. But Linda? She's watching him from a few rows away, and her eyes narrow. She doesn't like something about Jamal. Maybe it's the way he looks so calm. Maybe it's because she's having a grumpy day. Or maybe, just maybe, she's got a mean streak she can't hide. Whatever it is, Linda's not happy, and she's about to make that very clear. The plane's still noisy with people settling in. A mom's helping her little boy buckle his seatbelt. An old man's asking for a pillow. Someone's trying to stuff a giant suitcase into a tiny bin. It's busy and loud, but Jamal's just standing there, not causing any trouble. He's got that friendly smile, and he even nods at the lady sitting next to him in 12A. She's a nice woman with glasses, knitting a scarf. Hi, Jamal says softly. Looks like we're seat buddies. The lady smiles back and says, yup, nice to meet you. Everything's fine, right? Jamal's happy, the lady's happy, and the plane's almost ready to go. But Linda's not happy. Oh no. She's walking toward Jamal now, her shoes clicking on the floor. Click, click, click. Her clipboard's tucked under her arm, and her lips are pressed into a thin line. She stops right in front of Jamal, crosses her arms, and stares at him like he's done something wrong. The air feels heavy all of a sudden, like a storm's coming. Jamal looks up from his seat and sees her standing there. He's still smiling, but Linda's not smiling back. Not even a little bit. What's going on? Why's she looking at him like that? You're going to find out soon, so don't go anywhere. Let's paint the picture some more, because this is where it gets good. The plane seats are blue and a little squishy. The windows are small but shiny, showing the bright sun outside. The overhead lights are on, and the little ding sound keeps going off as people press their call buttons. Jamal's seat, 12B, is right in the middle of the plane, not too close to the noisy engines, not too far from the snacks. It's a good spot, and Jamal's ticket proves it's his. He's not in anyone else's way. He's not loud or rude. He's just a guy who wants to fly and have a nice day. Linda, though. She's got other ideas. She's standing there, towering over Jamal, and the lady in 12A stops knitting to peek up at her. Other passengers nearby start to notice, too. They're pretending to look at their phones or magazines, but really, they're watching. Something's about to happen, and they can feel it. Linda clears her throat loudly and says, "Excuse me." Her voice cuts through the noise like a teacher calling out a kid in class. Jamal looks at her, still calm, still nice. "Yes, ma'am," he says. He's being super polite, because that's just who Jamal is. But Linda's not in the mood for polite. She tilts her head and says, "What are you doing here?" It's a weird question, right? Jamal's confused, and so is everyone else. I'm sitting in my seat," he says, holding up his ticket again. 12B. See. The ticket's right there, clear as day. His name's on it, the seat numbers on it, everything checks out. But Linda doesn't even look at the ticket. She just shakes her head and says, "I don't think so." Huh? What does that mean? Why's she acting like Jamal's in the wrong spot when he's got proof? The lady in 12A frowns a little, clutching her knitting needles. She's thinking, what's this lady's problem? The guy across the aisle, a man with a baseball cap, glances over too. Everyone's starting to wonder what's up with Linda. Jamal stays cool, though. He doesn't raise his voice. He just says, "Ma'am, this is my seat." I'm sure of it. He's so patient, you'd think he's used to this kind of thing. But Linda? She's not backing down. She puts her hands on her hips and says, "We'll see about that." Then she turns and walks away, her shoes clicking again. Click, click, click. Okay, let's slow down for a second. What just happened? Jamal's in his right seat, 12B. His ticket says so, and he's not causing any trouble. But Linda's acting like he doesn't belong there. Why? What's she thinking? Is she just having a bad day? Or is there something else going on? Here's a little hint, Jamal's not just any regular passenger. Nope. He's got a secret, a big one, and it's going to change everything. Linda doesn't know it yet, but she's about to find out the hard way. And when she does, oh boy, it's going to be wild. Let's talk about Jamal for a minute. He's the kind of guy who's nice to everyone. Picture him helping a kid tie their shoe or holding the door for someone with a heavy bag. That's Jamal. He's got a warm laugh and a way of making people feel good. On this plane, he's just trying to enjoy his trip. Maybe he's going to visit family. Maybe he's heading to a fun vacation. Whatever it is, he's not here to fight with anybody. But Linda's making it tough for him, and we're about to see why. The plane's still buzzing with noise. The engines are getting louder now, ready to take off. The captain's voice comes over the speakers, "Hello, folks. Welcome aboard. Please take your seats, we're about to fly." People shuffle around, buckling up. Jamal clicks his seatbelt into place and leans back. He's still smiling, even after Linda's weird attitude. The lady in 12A whispers to him, "She's kind of rude, huh?" Jamal nods and says, "Yeah, but it's okay. I'm used to it." Wait, what? Used to it? What does that mean? Another little hint for you, Jamal's been through stuff like this before, and he's got a plan. Linda's back at the front of the plane now, talking to another flight attendant. She's pointing toward Jamal's row and shaking her head. The other worker looks confused, but Linda's waving her clipboard like she's proving a point. What's she saying? Is she complaining about Jamal? Telling a lie? We don't know yet, but one thing's for sure, she's not done with him. She's got that look in her eyes like she's ready to make trouble. And trouble's exactly what's coming, but not the way Linda thinks. Let's zoom out a bit. The plane's big rows and rows of seats stretching all the way back. There's a baby crying near the bathrooms, and a guy snoring by the emergency exit. The windows show the runway outside, with little trucks driving around. It's a sunny day, perfect for flying. Jamal's looking out his window now, watching the ground crew wave their orange sticks. He's calm, like nothing can bother him. But inside? Inside, he's ready. Ready for what? You'll see soon. The lady in 12A starts knitting again, her needles clicking softly. She's making a red scarf, and it's getting longer by the minute. She glances at Jamal and says, "I hope she leaves you alone." Jamal chuckles. "Me too," he says. "But if she doesn't, it's fine. I've got this." There it is again, that little spark. He's so sure of himself, isn't he? What's he hiding? Why's he so chill when Linda's being so mean? Hang on, friends, because the secret's coming, and it's going to blow your mind. By now, the plane's almost ready to go. The doors are closed, and the lights flicker as the engines roar. Everyone's buckled in, except Linda, who's still walking around, checking stuff. She's got that clipboard out again, scribbling something. Every few seconds, she looks at Jamal. Her eyes are sharp, like a hawk watching a mouse. But Jamal's not a mouse. No way. He's something bigger, something stronger. Linda thinks she's the queen of this plane, but she's about to learn she's wrong. Let's wrap up this part with one more peek at Jamal. He's sitting there, hands in his lap, staring out the window. His backpack's tucked under the seat, and his ticket's in his pocket. He's just a guy on a plane, right? That's what Linda thinks. That's what everyone thinks. But here's the truth, and don't tell anyone yet. Jamal's not just a passenger. He's got a secret so big, it's going to flip this whole story upside down. Linda's picking a fight with the wrong person, and in just a few minutes, she's going to wish she'd been nicer. So, what do you think so far? Is Linda being unfair? Is Jamal as cool as he seems? And what's his secret? Stick around, because this plane's about to take off, and so is the action. Tell me in the comments what you think's going to happen next. I'll see you in the next part, friends. Okay, friends, here we go. The plane's still boarding, and it's a busy mess. People are walking up and down the aisles, dragging their bags and looking for their seats. The air smells like pretzels and that funny plane smell, you know, kind of stale but kind of cool. The seats are filling up fast, and everyone's chatting or rustling through their stuff. Little kids are bouncing in their seats, and grown UPS are shoving suitcases into those overhead bins. It's loud and crazy, but that's normal for a plane, right? Everyone's just trying to get settled before takeoff. But Linda? Oh, Linda's not in a good mood. Not at all. She's the flight attendant, the lady who's supposed to help everyone feel safe and happy on the plane. She's got her blue uniform on, all crisp and neat, and her hair's tied back so tight it looks like it hurts. She's holding her clipboard like it's a shield, and her eyes are darting around, watching everything. Linda's been doing this job for a long time, and she thinks she's the boss of this plane. People usually listen to her because she's loud and bossy, and they don't want any trouble. But today, Linda's extra grumpy. Maybe she didn't get her coffee. Maybe her shoes are too tight. Or maybe she just woke up on the wrong side of the bed. Whatever it is, she's ready to pick a fight, and she's about to find one. So, here's the scene. The plane's still on the ground, parked at the gate. The big doors open, and passengers are trickling in, one by one. Jamal Carter's one of them. He's our guy from the last part, tall, friendly, with a little backpack and a blue shirt. He's walking down the aisle, counting the seat numbers. 10. 11. 12, he says quietly to himself. He stops at row 12, seat B, right by the window. That's his spot, and he's got the ticket to prove it. He's happy to be here, ready to sit down and chill out. Jamal's not making noise or bothering anyone. He's just a regular guy, minding his own business. But Linda spots him. She's standing a few rows back, near the drink cart, and her sharp eyes lock onto Jamal like a hawk spotting a bunny. She doesn't like what she sees. Why? We don't know yet, but her face scrunches up like she just bit into a sour lemon. She straightens her shoulders, grips her clipboard tighter, and starts marching toward him. Her shoes go click, click, click on the floor, loud and fast. Everyone can hear her coming, and a few people peek up from their seats. Something's about to happen, they can feel it. Jamal's just about to sit down. He's got his backpack in one hand and his ticket in the other. He slides the backpack under the seat in front of him, seat 11B, and pulls out his ticket one more time to double check. Yup, it says Jamal Carter, seat 12B. Clear as day. No mistakes. He's in the right place. He starts to lower himself into the seat, ready to buckle up and relax. But before his butt even touches the cushion, Linda's voice cuts through the air like a whistle. "Excuse me, sir," she snaps. Her voice is loud, way louder than it needs to be. It's like she wants the whole plane to hear her. Everyone freezes. The mom in row 9 stops buckling her kid's seat belt. The old guy in row 13 stops digging in his bag. Even the baby way in the back stops crying for a second. Heads turn, and all eyes are on Linda and Jamal. She's standing right next to him now, hands on her hips, staring down at him like he's a naughty kid caught sneaking candy. Jamal looks up, surprised. He's still holding his ticket, and he's got that friendly smile on his face. "Yes, ma'am," he says, super polite. He's not mad or loud, he's just calm, like always. But Linda's not calm. Oh no. She points a finger at him and says, "This isn't your seat. You must be in the wrong section." Her voice is sharp, and it's dripping with attitude. It's like she's saying, "You don't belong here, and I'm going to make sure you know it." The way she says it makes Jamal blink. It's mean, and it doesn't make sense. Jamal tilts his head a little, still nice as can be. "Ma'am, my ticket says 12B, he says. He holds it up so she can see it. The little piece of paper is right there in his hand, with his name and seat number printed in black ink. It's not hard to read. Anyone could look at it and say, "Yup, that's his seat." But Linda? She doesn't even glance at it. She just crosses her arms and rolls her eyes big time. "I don't think so," she says, all sassy. Then she adds something worse. "People like you don't sit here." Oof. That's a punch in the gut, isn't it? Let's stop right there for a second. Did you hear that? People like you don't sit here. What does she mean by that? Why's she saying it? Jamal's face changes for just a tiny moment, his jaw tightens, like he's clenching his teeth. That mean comment stung, and you can tell. But he doesn't yell. He doesn't jump up and argue. He just looks at her, steady and quiet. The passengers nearby? They're shocked. The lady in 12A, the one with the knitting, lets out a little gasp. The guy across the aisle in 12C pulls his baseball cap down lower, like he's embarrassed to watch. Someone behind Jamal whispers, "Whoa, that's not okay." But nobody says anything loud. They're all too surprised or maybe too scared to speak up. Linda's standing there, waiting for Jamal to do something. Maybe she thinks he'll argue. Maybe she wants him to get mad so she can yell even more. But Jamal? He's smarter than that. He takes a slow breath, looks at his ticket one more time, and then just like that he sits down. Yup, he plops right into seat 12B, calm as can be. He buckles his seatbelt with a little click and leans back. He's not moving. He's not fighting. He's just sitting there, like, "This is my seat, and I'm staying." Linda's face turns red. Like, tomato red. Her eyes get wide, and her mouth opens a little, like she can't believe he just did that. She's used to people listening to her. When she says, "Move," they move. When she says, "Do this," they do it. But Jamal? He's not playing her game. He's sitting there, cool and quiet, and it's driving her nuts. She leans closer and hisses, "Yup," hisses like a snake, "You're gonna regret that." Her voice is low now, but it's full of anger. Then she spins around and storms off, her shoes going click, click, click all the way back to the front of the plane. Whoa, hold up. What just happened? Let's rewind a bit and look at this again, because it's juicy. The plane's still boarding, right? People are still shuffling in, finding their spots. Jamal's just trying to sit down in seat 12B, which is his seat. His ticket says so, plain and simple. But Linda comes over, all bossy and mean, and tells him he's wrong. She doesn't even check his ticket. She just decides he doesn't belong there and says that awful thing, "People like you don't sit here." That's not cool, is it? It's rude and unfair, and everyone around can see it. Jamal stays chill, though. He doesn't shout or cry or anything. He just sits down, like, I know I'm right. And Linda? She's mad, so mad that he didn't obey her. She's not used to people standing up to her, even quietly like that. So she threatens him, "You're gonna regret that," and stomps away. What's her deal? Why's she picking on Jamal? Is it because she's grumpy? Or is there something else going on? And why's she so sure he doesn't belong in 12B? Stick around, because something wild is coming, and it's going to answer all these questions. Let's paint the picture some more. The plane's still loud with people. A little girl in row 8 is asking her dad for a snack. "Can I have cookies?" she says, tugging his sleeve. An old lady in row 15 is putting on her glasses to read a book. The guy in 11C right in front of Jamal is snoring already, even though the plane hasn't moved yet. It's a regular flight, full of regular people. But over in row 12, things are heating up. The lady in 12A is watching Jamal now, her knitting needle still in her hands. She's got a worried look, like she's thinking, "Oh no, what's going to happen?" The guy in 12C, with the baseball cap, shifts in his seat. He's pretending to look out the window, but he's really listening. Everyone nearby is curious. They heard Linda's mean words, and they saw Jamal sit down anyway. They're wondering, who's right? Is he in the wrong seat? Or is she just being a bully? Nobody knows yet, but the air feels thick, like something big is building. It's tense, and it's quiet in row 12, even with all the noise around them. Jamal's sitting there, looking out his little window. The sun's shining outside, and he can see the airport workers driving those funny little trucks. He's not smiling anymore, not after what Linda said, but he's not frowning either. His face is calm, like he's waiting. Waiting for what? Good question. Linda's up front now, talking to another flight attendant. She's waving her hands and pointing back at Jamal's row. The other worker, a younger guy with messy hair, looks confused. He's nodding, but you can tell he's not sure what's going on. Linda's voice carries a little. "He's in the wrong spot," she says, loud enough for some people to hear. "I told him, but he won't listen." The other flight attendant shrugs, like, what's the big deal? But Linda's not letting it go. She's scribbling something on her clipboard, her pen moving fast. Is she writing about Jamal? Making up a story? We don't know yet, but she's definitely mad. Her face is still red, and her eyes keep darting back to row 12. She's planning something, you can bet on that. Meanwhile, Jamal's just sitting there. He pulls his backpack closer with his foot, making sure it's tucked under the seat. He adjusts his seatbelt and takes a slow breath. The lady in 12A finally says something. "That was rude," she whispers, her voice soft. "You okay?" Jamal nods. "Yeah, I'm fine," he says. "Thanks for checking." He gives her a little smile, and she smiles back. She starts knitting again, but she's keeping one eye on the aisle, watching for Linda. Let's talk about Linda for a sec. She's been a flight attendant forever, right? She knows all the rules. She knows where every seat is, how to serve drinks, how to close the doors, everything. So why's she acting like Jamal's in the wrong spot when his ticket says 12B? It's weird, isn't it? She didn't even look at the ticket. Most flight attendants would check it, say, "Oh, my mistake," and move on. But not Linda. She's decided Jamal doesn't belong, and she's sticking to it. Why? Is she just mean? Does she not like him for some reason? Or is there more to the story? Hang on, because it's going to get good. The plane's almost full now. The last few people are squeezing in, finding their seats. The captain's voice comes over the speakers again. "Hey, folks. We're closing the doors soon. Get comfy, we're about to roll." The engines hum louder, and the overhead lights flicker. Everyone's buckling up, ready to go. But in row 12, the tension's still there. Jamal's sitting quietly, his hands in his lap. The lady in 12A's knitting faster now, like she's nervous. The guy in 12C pulls his cap even lower, he's staying out of this. Linda's back at the front, still talking to the other flight attendant. She's pointing at Jamal again, and her voice is sharp. He's trouble, she says. I can tell. Trouble. Jamal. The guy who's been polite and quiet this whole time. That doesn't add up, does it? The other worker just nods, but he's not buying it. He's got a look like, lady, calm down. But Linda's not calming down. She's got her mind made up, and she's ready to make Jamal's day miserable. So, what's her problem? Why's she so sure Jamal doesn't belong? And why's she being so mean about it? Here's a tiny hint, Linda's wrong, really wrong. Jamal's exactly where he's supposed to be, and he's got a secret that's going to turn this whole thing around. She thinks she's in charge, but she's about to learn she's not. What's going to happen next? Oh, it's going to be wild, friends. Stick around, you don't want to miss this. Alright, friends, buckle up, things are getting exciting. The plane's engines roar, and it's finally taking off. The wheels rumble on the runway, and then whoosh, the whole plane lifts into the sky. Everyone feels that little push in their seats as the ground disappears below. The windows show fluffy white clouds now, and the sun's shining bright up there. Inside, people are settling in. Some are pulling out snacks. Others are flipping through magazines or putting on headphones. It's a regular flight, high above the world, and everyone's ready to relax, well, almost everyone. Linda's still mad. Oh yeah, she's fuming like a volcano about to blow. She's the flight attendant, the one who's been picking on Jamal since he got on the plane. Remember how she told him he didn't belong in seat 12B, even though his ticket said it was his? Yup, she's not over that. Not even close. The plane's in the air now, but Linda's still got that grumpy face on. Her lips are tight, and her eyes are sharp, like she's looking for trouble. And guess who she's staring at? Jamal Carter, our guy in 12B, the tall, friendly man with the little backpack and the cool attitude. Jamal's just sitting there, looking out his window. The clouds are rolling by, big and puffy, and he's got his hands resting in his lap. He's calm, super calm, like nothing can shake him. But Linda? Every time she walks down the aisle, she glares at him. Her eyes are like lasers, burning holes in his direction. She's mad that he didn't listen to her earlier, mad that he sat down anyway, mad that he's just there. She keeps passing his row, back and forth, carrying trays or pushing carts, and every single time, she looks at him like he's a criminal. Like he stole something or broke a rule. But he didn't. His ticket says 12B, and that's where he's sitting. So what's her deal? Here's where it gets fun. Linda doesn't just glare, she talks under her breath, too. She's muttering stuff, little words that only people close by can hear. As she walks past Jamal's row, she says, unbelievable. It's quiet, but sharp, like a hiss. A few steps later, she mutters, who does he think he is? Whoa. The lady sitting next to Jamal in 12A, the one with the knitting, hears it. She's got her red scarf in her hands, and her needles stop moving for a second. She leans over to Jamal and whispers, she's being so rude. Her voice is tiny, like she doesn't want Linda to hear. Jamal just nods, slow and easy, and gives her a little smile. Yeah, he says softly. It's okay. Okay. He's not mad. He's not upset. Nope. He's cool as ice, like nothing bothers him. Let's stop and think about that for a minute. Linda's walking around, glaring and muttering mean things. She's acting like Jamal's the worst person on this plane. But Jamal's chill. He's not yelling back. He's not complaining. He's just sitting there, smiling a little, like he knows something she doesn't. That's weird, right? Most people would get mad if someone was rude to them like that. Most people would say, hey, stop it, or leave me alone. But not Jamal. He's acting like he's not even surprised. Almost like he's waiting for something to happen. Waiting for what? Oh, that's a good question. Keep that in your head, because there's a clue here, and it's going to lead to something big. The plane's flying smooth now, way up high. The little ding sound goes off, and the seatbelt sign turns off. People start moving around a bit. A kid in row 7 gets up to use the bathroom. A man in row 14 stretches his legs. The lady in 12A starts knitting again, her needles going click, click, click. She's making that red scarf longer, and she keeps sneaking looks at Jamal. She's curious about him now. Why's he so calm? Why's Linda so mean? The guy in 12C, the one with the baseball cap, pulls his hat down lower and pretends to sleep. But you can tell he's listening, too. Everyone around Jamal's row is starting to notice the weird vibes. A few minutes pass. The plane's humming along, and the clouds outside are turning pink as the sun moves across the sky. It's pretty out there, all soft and dreamy. But inside, things are heating up. Linda's back up, she's coming down the aisle again. This time, she's pushing a big drink cart. It's loaded with cups, soda cans, and little bags of pretzels. The cart squeaks as she rolls it, and she's moving fast, like she's on a mission. She gets to row 12, and bam, she stops right next to Jamal's seat. The cart slams into the edge of his row, loud enough to make people jump. Move your bag now. Linda snaps. Her voice is loud again, cutting through the hum of the plane. She's pointing at Jamal's backpack, which is tucked under the seat in front of him. It's not in the way, not really. It's just sitting there, small and neat, not bothering anybody. But Linda's making a big deal out of it. Move it, or I'll have you kicked off this plane, she says. Whoa, what? Kicked off? The plane's already flying. How's that even possible? Everyone stares. The lady in 12A gasps again, her knitting needles freezing. The guy in 12C lifts his cap just a tiny bit to peek. People a few rows back lean forward, trying to see what's going on. Jamal doesn't flinch. He looks at Linda, calm as ever, and says, "No problem, ma'am." He leans down, slides his backpack a little closer to his feet, and sits back up. That's it. No arguing, no fussing, just a quick move and a polite answer. It takes him, like, 2 seconds. The bag's still under the seat, still out of the way, but now it's even neater. Linda stands there, hands on her hips, waiting for, what? For him to fight back. For him to say something rude. But he doesn't. He just looks at her with those steady eyes and that tiny smile. Linda smirks. It's a mean little twist of her lips, like she thinks she's won something. That's better, she says, all smug. She grabs a soda can from the cart and hands it to the lady in 12A, who takes it with shaky hands. Then Linda moves on, pushing the cart to the next row. She's acting like she's the queen of the plane, like she just taught Jamal a lesson. People are still staring, though. The guy in 11B, the one right in front of Jamal, turns around and mouths, "Wow." The lady in 12A whispers to Jamal again, "She's awful." Jamal nods, but that's it. He's still cool, still quiet. But here's the thing, has Linda really won? Or is something else going on? Let's zoom in on Jamal for a sec. He's sitting there, sipping a water bottle he pulled from his backpack. The clouds outside his window are glowing now, all orange and pink. He's got that little spark in his eyes, like a secret he's keeping. What's he hiding? Why's he so calm when Linda's being so mean? Most people would be upset by now. Most people would be thinking, why's she picking on me? What did I do? But Jamal? He's not worried. He's not scared. He's just waiting. Waiting for what? Oh, you're going to love this next part, friends. The plane keeps flying, and Linda keeps doing her job. She's handing out drinks and snacks, but every time she gets close to row 12, she gives Jamal that glare again. Mutter, 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 so rude, she says under her breath. Thinks he's special. The lady in 12A hears it and shakes her head. She won't stop, she whispers to Jamal. He shrugs, just a little, and says, "It's fine." Fine. Really? Linda's treating him like dirt, and he's saying it's fine? That's not normal, is it? There's something up with Jamal, something big, and we're getting closer to finding out what it is. Let's paint the picture some more. The plane's cozy inside, with those soft blue seats and little overhead lights. The air's cool, and it smells like pretzels and soda. People are munching now, crunch, crunch, crunch. A kid a few rows up spills some juice, and his mom sighs. "Oh, Benny, be careful," she says. The guy in 12C finally takes off his cap and rubs his eyes, like he's tired of pretending to sleep. The lady in 12A's scarf is getting longer, red wool looping around her needles. She's knitting fast, like she's nervous about Linda coming back. And Linda does come back. Oh yeah, a few minutes later, she's walking down the aisle again, no cart this time, just her clipboard. She's checking stuff, looking at seats, scribbling notes. When she gets to row 12, she stops. Again. She stares at Jamal, her eyes narrow. "Everything okay here?" she asks, but it's not a nice question. It's like she's daring him to say something wrong. Jamal looks up, cool as ever, and says, "Yup, all good, ma'am." His voice is steady, polite, perfect. Linda huffs like a little puff of air and walks away. But she's not happy. You can tell by the way her shoulders are all tight. The lady in 12A can't take it anymore. "Why's she so mean to you?" she whispers to Jamal. He smiles a real smile this time and says, "Some people just are. Don't worry about it. Don't worry." Linda's glaring, muttering, and threatening to kick him off a flying plane, and he's saying don't worry? That spark in his eyes gets brighter. He's not just calm, he's confident. Like he knows something's coming, and it's going to be good. What's he waiting for? What's his secret? We're so close to finding out. The plane's been flying for a little while now. The sky outside is turning darker, with streaks of purple mixing into the pink. It's quiet inside, except for the hum of the engines and the rustle of snack bags. Linda's up front again, talking to the other flight attendant, the guy with the messy hair. She's pointing at Jamal's row, waving her clipboard. "He's a problem," she says, loud enough for some people to hear. The other worker shrugs, like, "I don't see it." But Linda's not giving up. She's building her case, making Jamal sound bad. Why? What's she planning? Jamal hears her. He's not deaf, but he doesn't react. He just takes another sip of water and looks out the window. The lady in 12A's watching him now, her knitting forgotten. "You're so patient," she says. Jamal chuckles, soft and low. "Gotta be," he says. "Gotta be? What does that mean?" Another clue. He's dropping these little hints, and they're piling up. He's not surprised by Linda. He's not scared of her. He's waiting for the perfect moment. And when that moment comes, oh, it's going to be awesome. So, what's happening here? Linda's fuming, glaring, muttering, and bossing Jamal around. She's trying to make him mad, trying to make him look bad. But Jamal's not falling for it. He's cool, calm, and collected, with that spark in his eyes that says, "I've got this." He's hiding something huge, and Linda's about to walk right into it. What's her next move? What's his secret? You're going to flip when you see what's coming next, friends. Stick with me, this is getting wild. The plane's still flying high, cutting through the sky like a big metal bird. The clouds outside Jamal's window are turning darker now, with little bits of gold and purple mixing in. It's getting late, and the sun's dipping lower. Inside, the plane's humming along, vroom, vroom, and people are starting to get sleepy. A lady a few rows back pulls a blanket over her shoulders. A kid in row 10 is playing a game on his tablet, the screen glowing bright. The air's cool and smells like peanuts and soda, and the little overhead lights are dimming a bit. It's cozy, right? But not for everyone. Nope, not for Linda. Linda's still on the warpath. She's up at the front of the plane, whispering to that other flight attendant, the guy with the messy hair. She's got her clipboard out, pointing at it like it's proof of something. "He's not supposed to be here," she says, her voice low but snappy. She keeps glancing back at Jamal's row 12 like she's plotting her next move. The messy hair guy just nods, but he's not really into it. He's got a look like, why's she so worked up? He doesn't see the problem, but Linda? She's seeing problems everywhere, and they all point to Jamal. Jamal's still in his seat, 12B, right by the window. He's got his water bottle in his hand, taking tiny sips. His backpack's tucked under the seat in front of him, all neat and tidy. He's not bothering anyone, not a soul. The lady in 12A, the knitting lady, is back at it with her red scarf. Her needles go click, 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 steady and fast. She's watching Jamal out of the corner of her eye, though. She's curious, super curious. "You're so nice," she whispers to him. "I'd be mad if she talked to me like that." Jamal smiles, just a little, and says, "No point in getting mad. It'll work out." Work out? What's he mean by that? Another hint. He's dropping these little nuggets, and they're making us wonder. Linda's not done, though. Oh no, she's coming back down the aisle. Her shoes go click, click, click again, loud and bossy. She's got a stack of napkins in her hand this time, passing them out to people who got drinks. "Here," she says to the guy in 11C, practically throwing the napkin at him. "Here," she says to the lady in 13A, barely looking at her. She's moving fast, like she's in a hurry, but when she gets to row 12, she slows down. Way down. She stops right next to Jamal's seat again and stares at him. Her eyes are like little darts, sharp and mean. "Anything I can get you?" she asks, but it's not nice. It's like she's testing him, waiting for him to mess up. Jamal looks up, calm as a lake on a sunny day, and says, "No, ma'am. I'm good." His voice is soft, polite, perfect. Linda huffs again, that little puff of air she does when she's annoyed. "Fine," she snaps, and she moves on. But as she walks away, she mutters something else. "Thinks he's so smart," she says under her breath. The lady in 12A hears it and shakes her head. "She's crazy," she whispers to Jamal. He just shrugs, like, "Maybe. Let's talk about that for a sec." Linda's acting like Jamal's some big troublemaker, right? She's glaring, muttering, stopping by his seat every chance she gets. She's trying to make him feel small, like he doesn't belong. But Jamal? He's not falling for it. He's not getting mad or scared or anything. He's just sitting there, sipping his water, watching the clouds. And every time Linda says something mean, he answers with that cool, polite voice. "No problem, ma'am. I'm good, ma'am." It's like he's playing a game and he's winning. But how? What's his trick? That spark in his eyes is still there, and it's getting brighter. He's hiding something, friends, and it's going to be huge. The plane keeps going, and the sky's almost dark now. Little stars are popping out, tiny dots of light way up high. Inside, the passengers are quieting down. The kid with the tablet yawns, and his mom says, "Time to rest, buddy." The guy in 11C, the snorer, is out cold, his head tipped back. The lady in 12A's scarf is super long now, almost touching the floor. She's knitting slower, though, because she's still watching Jamal and Linda. She's hooked just like us. Linda's back at it a few minutes later. She's walking the aisle again, this time with a trash bag. "Trash? Anyone got trash?" she calls out, loud and sharp. People hand her cups and wrappers, and she stuffs them in the bag. She gets to row 12, and yup, you guessed it, she stops. She looks at Jamal and holds the bag out. "Trash," she says, like she's daring him to have some. Jamal shakes his head. "No, ma'am," he says, holding up his empty water bottle. "I'm keeping this." Linda rolls her eyes big time and mutters, "Of course you are." Then she moves on, dragging the bag behind her. The lady in 12A can't believe it. "She's picking on you for no reason," she whispers, her voice all squeaky. Jamal chuckles quiet and low and says, "She can try." Try? What's that mean? He's not just calm now, he's almost happy. Like he's enjoying this a little. That spark in his eyes is shining, like a star getting ready to burst. Linda thinks she's in charge, but Jamal's acting like he's got the upper hand. What's going on? What's he waiting for? We're getting closer, friends, closer to the big moment. The plane's steady now, flying smooth through the night. The engines hum, and the little ding sound goes off again. The captain's voice comes on the speakers. "Hey, folks. We're cruising along, everything's good up here. Sit back and enjoy." People smile and nod, happy to hear it. But Linda? She's not smiling. She's back at the front, talking to the messy hair guy again. She's pointing at Jamal's row again and shaking her head. "He's too calm," she says. "It's weird. Weird. Jamal being calm is weird to her? That's funny, because most people would think Linda's the weird one here. The messy hair guy shrugs. He's not doing anything, he says, sounding tired. But Linda's not listening. He's up to something, she insists. I know it. Up to something? Like what? Jamal's just sitting there, sipping water and looking at clouds. But Linda's convinced he's trouble. She's scribbling on her clipboard again, writing fast. Is she making a list of stuff about Jamal? Trying to get him in trouble? We don't know yet, but she's definitely not letting this go. Jamal hears her, his ears are sharp but he doesn't move. He just leans back in his seat, stretching his legs a little. The lady in 12A's watching him like a hawk now. You're amazing, she says. I'd be so mad. Jamal smiles, bigger this time, and says, no need. It's all good. All good. Linda's muttering, glaring, and threatening him, and he says it's all good. That's not normal, friends. That's a clue, a big one. He's not just waiting anymore, he's ready. Ready for what? Oh, it's coming, and it's going to be wild. Let's zoom out a bit. The plane's full of people, rows and rows of seats stretching back. A baby's fussing near the bathrooms, and a lady's humming a song in row 15. The guy in 12C's awake now, munching pretzels and sneaking looks at Jamal. The lady in 12A's scarf is so long it's curling around her feet. She's stopped knitting, though she's too busy watching. The whole plane's quiet, but row 12. It's buzzing with that weird energy. Linda's mad, Jamal's calm, and everyone nearby can feel it. Linda's back in the aisle now, surprise, surprise. She's carrying a stack of blankets this time, handing them out to people who look cold. Blanket, she says to the guy in 11B. He takes one. Blanket, she says to the lady in 13A. She takes one, too. When she gets to row 12, she stops again. She holds out a blanket to the lady in 12A, who grabs it fast. Then she looks at Jamal. You want one? She asks, her voice all snippy. Jamal shakes his head. No, ma'am. I'm fine. Linda snorts like a little laugh and says, suit yourself. Then she walks off, muttering, so stubborn. The lady in 12A pulls the blanket over her lap and whispers, she's never nice to you. Jamal nods. That's her choice, he says. Her choice? That's an interesting way to put it. He's not blaming her or fighting her, he's just letting her be mean. Why? Because he knows something. That spark in his eyes is practically glowing now. He's not just cool, he's in control. Linda thinks she's winning, but she's not. Jamal's got a secret, and it's about to change everything. The plane's flying through the night, and the stars are twinkling outside. The engines hum, and the air's quiet except for Linda's muttering and the rustle of blankets. Jamal's sitting there, calm and steady, with that little smile. The lady in 12A's watching him, the guy in 12C's listening, and Linda's plotting up front. What's her next move? What's Jamal's secret? We're so close, friends, so close to the big reveal. Stick with me, because this is going to get crazy. Okay, friends, get ready, this is the big moment. The plane's been flying for 6 minutes now, zooming through the dark sky. The stars are twinkling outside, and the clouds are all gone. Inside, it's quiet and calm. People are munching snacks, flipping through books, or snoozing with blankets over their laps. The engines hum soft and steady, vroom, vroom, and the little overhead lights are dim. Everyone settled in, thinking this is just a normal flight. But oh boy, they're wrong. Something huge is about to happen, and it's going to shake up everything. Linda's up front, near the little kitchen area where they keep the drinks and snacks. She's still mad, yup, still fuming about Jamal in seat 12B. She's been glaring at him, muttering mean stuff, and bossing him around since the plane took off. Right now, she's standing there with her clipboard, talking to the other flight attendant, the guy with the messy hair. She's pointing at Jamal's row again, saying, he's trouble, I'm telling you. Her voice is low, but sharp, like she's trying to convince everyone he's bad news. The messy hair guy just shrugs, like, I don't care anymore. He's tired of her complaining, but Linda's not giving up. Jamal's back in his seat, 12B, by the window. He's got his water bottle in his hand, taking tiny sips. His backpack's tucked under the seat in front of him, all neat and tidy. He's calm, super calm, like he's been this whole time. The lady in 12A, the knitting lady, is wrapped in her blanket now, her long red scarf spilling over her lap. She's watching Jamal, still amazed at how cool he is. The guy in 12C, with the baseball cap, is munching pretzels, sneaking little looks at Jamal too. Everyone around him's been noticing how Linda's been mean, but Jamal? He's just chilling, like he knows something big is coming. And then boom, it happens. 6 minutes into the flight, everything explodes. Not the plane, don't worry. I mean the story, it's about to get wild. The plane's intercom crackles to life. You know that little speaker thing that makes a funny noise before someone talks? Crackle, crackle, buzz. Everyone looks up, surprised. A deep voice comes on, loud and clear. Attention, crew. This is your captain. We've got a special announcement. Whoa. The whole plane goes quiet. The kid with the tablet stops tapping. The lady with the blanket stops humming. Even the baby way in the back stops fussing. All eyes are on the speakers, waiting. Linda freezes. She's standing there with her clipboard, and her hands stop moving. Her sharp eyes widen, and her mouth opens just a tiny bit. She's not muttering now, she's listening. Up in row 12, Jamal sits up straighter. He puts his water bottle down and leans forward a little, like he's been waiting for this. That spark in his eyes? It's glowing now, bright and strong. The lady in 12A notices and whispers, "What's happening?" Jamal doesn't answer, he just smiles, a tiny, secret smile. "Oh, it's on, friends." The captain's voice keeps going. "I'd like to introduce someone on board today," he says. His voice is deep and friendly, like a teacher reading a fun story. Jamal Carter, yes, the man in 12B isn't just a passenger. Wait, what? Everyone gasps. The lady in 12A drops her knitting needles, clatter, and they hit the floor. The guy in 12C chokes on his pretzel and coughs. People all over the plane turn to look at Jamal, their eyes big and round. Linda's head snaps toward row 12, her face going pale. The captain's not done, though. He's the new owner of this airline, he says, loud and proud. What? Did you hear that? The new owner. The whole plane goes dead silent for, like, 2 seconds. You could hear a feather drop. Then boom, it explodes again, but with noise this time. Passengers cheer and clap, their hands smacking together like thunder. "Yay," yells a kid in row 8. "Cool," shouts a lady in row 15. The guy in 11C turns around and grins at Jamal, giving him a big thumbs up. The lady in 12A claps so hard her blanket falls off. Even the messy hair flight attendant up front starts clapping, a goofy smile on his face. It's a party now. But Linda? Oh, Linda's not clapping. Her jaw drops so fast it practically hits the floor. Her clipboard slips from her hands and lands with a loud thud on the carpet. Her eyes are huge, and her face goes from pale to red like a tomato in 2 seconds flat. She's staring at Jamal, and her mouth's moving, but no words come out. She's shocked, totally, completely shocked. All that glaring, all that muttering, all that bossing around, and now this? She can't believe it. Jamal stands up, slow and smooth. He's tall, and when he stands, everyone can see him clear as day. He's still cool, still confident, like he knew this was coming all along. He pulls his phone out of his pocket and holds it up, talking loud enough for everyone to hear. "Thanks, Captain," he says, his voice steady and strong. The cheering gets louder, woohoo, and people are smiling like crazy. Then Jamal turns his head and looks right at Linda. His eyes lock onto hers, and that little smile grows bigger. "Oh, this is it, the moment we've been waiting for. I bought this airline last week," Jamal says, loud and clear. His voice cuts through the noise, and everyone listens. "And I've been flying undercover to see how my employees treat people." Undercover? Like a spy? Whoa. The passengers gasp again, and the lady in 12A whispers, "No way." Jamal keeps going, still looking at Linda. "Guess what? You failed." Boom. The truth hits like a thunderbolt, loud and fast. Linda's not the boss here, Jamal is. He's the big boss, the top guy, the one who owns the whole airline. Let's slow down and soak this in, friends, because it's wild. Linda's been mean to Jamal since he got on the plane. She told him he didn't belong in 12B, even though his ticket said it was his. She muttered stuff like unbelievable and who does he think he is. She slammed the drink cart by his seat and told him to move his bag or get kicked off. All that time, she thought she was in charge. She thought Jamal was just some guy she could boss around. But nope, she was wrong. So wrong. Jamal's not just some guy. He's the owner, the big cheese, the head honcho, the king of this plane. The passengers are going nuts now. They're clapping and cheering, and some are even standing up to see Jamal better. That's awesome, yells a man in row 14. You're the best, shouts a lady in row 9. The kid in row 8 jumps up and down, his mom laughing next to him. The guy in 12C takes off his baseball cap and waves it like a flag. The lady in 12A is grinning so big her face might split. I knew you were special, she says to Jamal. He nods at her, still cool, still steady. He's not surprised, he's been waiting for this all along. Linda's still frozen up front. Her clipboard's on the floor, and her hands are shaking. She's trying to say something, her lips are moving, but it's just little squeaks. But, how, she stammers, so quiet no one hears her over the cheering. Her face is bright red now, and her sharp eyes are darting around, like she's looking for a place to hide. But there's nowhere to go, she's stuck, right there in front of everyone. All her mean words, all her bossy attitude, it's crashing down on her like a big wave. She thought she was the queen of this plane, but Jamal's the real ruler. Let's paint the picture some more, because this is too good. The plane's buzzing with noise now, clapping, cheering, laughing. The little ding sound goes off again, but no one cares, they're too excited. The windows show the dark sky outside, with stars twinkling like they're clapping too. Inside, the blue seats are bouncing as people wiggle and cheer. The air smells like pretzels and happiness, and the overhead lights seem brighter somehow. Row 12's the center of it all. Jamal's standing there, tall and proud, while the lady in 12A claps and the guy in 12C whoops. All right, friends, here we are, the end of the ride. The plane's still flying high, but the big secret's out. Jamal Carter, the guy in seat 12B, just told everyone he's the new owner of the airline. Boom. Linda, the mean flight attendant, thought she was the boss, but she's not. Jamal is. The passengers are cheering like crazy, clapping and shouting, because they love this twist. Linda's been rude to Jamal the whole flight, and now she's finding out she picked on the wrong guy. Oh boy, this is going to be good. Linda's up front, near the little kitchen area, and she's a mess. Her face is red, then white, then red again, like a stoplight that can't make up its mind. Her clipboard's on the floor, forgotten, and her hands are shaking. She's staring at Jamal, who's standing tall in row 12, cool and confident. The cheering's loud woohoo, and people are smiling big. But Linda? She's not smiling. She's scared now, because Jamal just said she failed. Failed what? His test. He's been undercover, watching how she treats people, and she's been mean, super mean. Now she's in trouble. Linda tries to talk. Her voice is shaky, like a little squeak. But I didn't know, she stammers. Her words tumble out, fast and messy. I didn't know you were the owner. I thought, she stops, because she doesn't know what to say. Her sharp eyes are wide, and she's looking around, like maybe someone will help her. But no one's jumping in. The passengers are too busy cheering, and the other flight attendant, the messy hair guy, is just watching, his mouth open. Linda's all alone, and she knows it. Jamal shakes his head, slow and steady. He's still standing in row 12, tall and strong, with that spark in his eyes. Doesn't matter, he says, his voice clear and firm. You don't treat people like that, especially not on my plane. Oh, snap. That's a big one. The passengers cheer even louder, yeah, because they love hearing that. Jamal's right, Linda's been mean to him from the start, and it's not okay. She can't just say, I didn't know, and make it all better. Nope, not on Jamal's plane. Let's rewind a bit, because this is juicy. Linda's been bossy since Jamal got on. She marched over when he was boarding and said, this isn't your seat, even though his ticket said 12B. She muttered stuff like unbelievable and who does he think he is. She slammed the drink cart by his seat and told him to move his bag or get kicked off. All that time, She acted like she was the queen, like she could do whatever she wanted. But now she's finding out it's Jamal's plane, his plane, and he's not happy with her. Jamal picks up his phone again. He's still standing, and everyone's watching him, quiet now, waiting to see what's next. He talks into the phone, loud enough for the whole plane to hear. "Captain," he says, "when we land, Linda's done. She's fired. Right now." Boom. There it is, justice. The passengers go wild, woohoo, clapping and shouting louder than ever. "Yes," yells a man in row 10. "Good job," shouts a lady in row 15. The kid in row 8 jumps up and down, yelling, "She's outta here." His mom laughs and claps too. It's a big, happy noise, like a party in the sky. Linda's face goes pale, like ghost pale. All the red's gone, and her eyes are huge. She looks like she's going to fall over, but she doesn't. She just stands there, frozen, while the cheering fills the plane. Then, slow and quiet, she turns and slinks to the back. Yup, slinks like a sneaky cat trying to hide. Her shoes don't go click, click, click anymore, they're soft now, like she doesn't want anyone to notice her. She heads to the back of the plane, near the bathrooms, and sits down in a little jump seat. Her head's down, and she's defeated. Done. Finished. She knows she's in big trouble, and there's no way out. The plane keeps flying, and the passengers are buzzing with excitement. Jamal's still standing, looking around at everyone. They're smiling at him, clapping a little softer now, but still happy. He nods, like, "Thanks, friends," and sits back down in 12B. The lady in 12A, the knitting lady, leans over and says, "You're amazing." Her red scarf's all tangled in her lap, and she's grinning big. Jamal smiles back. "Thanks, ma'am," he says. "Just doing what's right." The guy in 12C, with the baseball cap, gives him a fist bump. "Best boss ever," he says, and Jamal laughs a warm, happy laugh. Let's paint the picture, because it's awesome. The plane's high in the sky, and the stars are shining bright outside the windows. Inside, the blue seats are cozy, and the air smells like pretzels and soda. The little ding sound goes off sometimes, but no one's paying attention, they're too busy talking about Jamal. "He owns the airline," whispers a lady in row 13. "She's fired," says a man in row 9. The kid in row 8 keeps bouncing, saying, "He's the boss. He's the boss." His mom shushes him, but she's smiling too. The whole plane's alive with chatter and giggles. Time passes, and the plane starts to drop a little. The captain's voice comes on again. "Hey, folks. We're getting ready to land. Buckle up and hang tight." The engines hum louder, and the seat belt sign lights up, ding. People click their belts back on, still buzzing about what happened. Jamal's buckled in 12B, looking out his window. The lady in 12A's folding up her scarf, and the guy in 12C's putting his cap back on. Linda. She's still in the back, sitting quiet, her head down. She's not muttering excuses anymore, she's just waiting for the plane to land. The landing's smooth. The wheels touch the ground with a little bump, and the plane slows down, rolling to the gate. Everyone claps, clap, 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 because that's what you do when a plane lands, right? But this time, it's extra loud, like they're clapping for Jamal too. The plane stops, and the ding sound goes off again. The captain says, "Welcome to your stop, folks. Thanks for flying with us." People start grabbing their bags, ready to get off. But something special's waiting when the doors open. Security's there. Yup, two big guys in black uniforms are standing at the gate, right where the plane pulls up. They've got walkie-talkies crackling and serious faces. The passengers see them and whisper, "Oh, that's for her." They're right, it's for Linda. The doors open with a whoosh, and the messy hair flight attendant steps out first, waving people off. "Have a good day," he says, all cheery now. But then the security guys step forward, looking past him, straight at the back of the plane. Linda knows it's over. She stands up, slow and wobbly, and grabs her little bag. Her face is pale, and her eyes are wet like she might cry, but she's holding it in. The passengers are getting off now, walking down the aisle, but they're all looking at her. "Bye-bye," says the kid in row 8, waving with a big grin. His mom pulls him along, but she's smirking too. The lady in 12A gives Linda a hard stare as she passes, her scarf tucked under her arm. The guy in 12C just shakes his head, like, you messed up. The security guys walk onto the plane. Linda, one of them says, his voice deep. She nods, tiny and quiet. Come with us, he says. They stand on either side of her, like guards, and start walking her off. She's muttering excuses now, little whispers like, I didn't mean it, and it was a mistake. But no one's listening. The passengers are too busy cheering again woohoo, as she's escorted out. She's gone, out the door, down the ramp, and into the airport with the security guys. That's it, she's fired, just like Jamal said. Meanwhile, Jamal's still on the plane. He waits until most people are off, then stands up, grabbing his backpack. He's cool and calm, like always. As he starts walking down the aisle, passengers stop him. Thank you, says a lady in row 14, shaking his hand. You're awesome, says a man in row 10, giving him a big smile. The kid in row 8 runs back and yells, you're my hero. His mom grabs him, laughing, sorry about that. Jamal grins and says, no problem, little man. He shakes hands with everyone, nodding and smiling, like a real boss should. The crew's watching all this, and guess what? They're suddenly a lot nicer. Yup, the messy hair flight attendant's standing by the door, saying, have a great day, sir, to Jamal, all polite and happy. Another crew lady, who's been quiet this whole time, rushes over with a big smile. Anything you need, Mr. Carter, she asks, her voice super sweet. Funny how that works, right? When they thought Jamal was just a regular guy, they didn't care much. But now that he's the owner? Oh, they're all smiles and bows. Jamal just nods and says, keep it nice for everyone, okay? They nod back, fast and eager. Yes, sir. Let's soak this in, friends, because it's perfect. Linda's gone fired and escorted off by security. She tried to say, I didn't know, but Jamal didn't care. Being mean isn't okay, whether you know someone's the boss or not. He told the captain she's done, and now she's out. The passengers love it, they're thanking Jamal, cheering for him, because he stood up to her. And the crew? They're acting like he's a king now, all nice and helpful. Justice is served, big time. Jamal walks off the plane last, his backpack over one shoulder. The gate's busy with people hugging and grabbing their bags, but they all turn to watch him. Great job, yells a man with a suitcase. Come fly with us again, says a lady with a stroller. Jamal waves, smiling that friendly smile, and heads into the airport. The plane's empty now, quiet and still, but the story's alive. Everyone's talking about the guy in 12B who turned it all around. So, what happened here? Linda was mean, bossy, rude, and unfair. She picked on Jamal, thinking he was nobody. But Jamal? He's the owner. He watched her, tested her, and when the time was right, he showed her who's boss. She's fired, the passengers are happy, and the crew's learned a lesson. Justice is done, and it feels so good. What a ride, friends, what a ride. Jamal's still holding his phone, looking at Linda. His voice is calm, but it's strong like a lion's roar wrapped in a whisper. I wanted to see how things really work, he says. How my people treat passengers. And you, Linda. You didn't do good. Ouch. That's like a punch to Linda's stomach. The cheering gets louder, yeah, and people are nodding, like, she deserves that. Linda's face goes from red to white now, like all the colors draining out. She's shaking her head, tiny little shakes, like she can't believe this is real. Let's rewind a bit and think about this. Linda's been mean from the start, right? She marched over to Jamal when he was boarding and said, this isn't your seat. She didn't even look at his ticket. Then she said, people like you don't sit here, all sassy and rude. When the plane took off, she kept glaring, muttering stuff like unbelievable and who does he think he is. She slammed the cart by his seat and told him to move his bag or get kicked off. All that time, Jamal stayed cool. He didn't argue, didn't yell, just said, no problem, ma'am, and smiled. Why? Because he knew this was coming. He knew he was the boss. The passengers love it. They're clapping so hard their hands must hurt. The guy in 11B turns around and says, "You're the man, Jamal." The lady in 13A yells, "She had it coming." The kid in row 8 bounces up and says, "You own the plane? Cool." His mom laughs and claps too. The messy hair flight attendant up front is grinning now, shaking his head like, "Wow, this is nuts." Even the captain's voice comes back on, chuckling through the speakers. "Let's give Jamal a big welcome, folks," he says. More cheers, woohoo, fill the plane. Linda's not moving. She's like a statue, stuck there by the kitchen area. Her clipboard's still on the floor, and her hands are clenched into fists. She's staring at Jamal, and her eyes are wet like she might cry. But no one feels bad for her. Nope, not after how she acted. She was mean, bossy, and rude, and now she's finding out she picked on the wrong guy. Jamal's not just any passenger, he's the owner. He bought the airline last week, and he's been flying undercover, watching everything. And Linda? She failed the test big time. Jamal's still standing, looking around at the passengers. They're all smiling at him, clapping and cheering. He nods, like, "Thanks, everybody." Then he looks back at Linda. "I don't like bullies," he says, his voice firm. "And I don't want them working for me." Oh, snap. That's a big one. The cheering gets even louder yet, and people are pumping their fists. Linda's eyes go wide again, and she takes a step back, like she's scared now. She knows what's coming, and it's not good for her. Let's zoom in on Linda for a sec. She's been the bossy queen of this plane, right? She walks around with her clipboard, telling people what to do. Move your bag. Sit down. Do this. Everyone listens because she's loud and mean, and they don't want trouble. But Jamal? He didn't listen. He sat in his seat, moved his bag when she asked, and stayed polite the whole time. Linda thought he was weak, thought she could push him around. But she was wrong, so wrong. He's not weak, he's the strongest guy here. He owns the airline. He's the big boss, and she's just an employee who messed up. The plane's still buzzing with excitement. The lady in 12A picks up her knitting needles and claps them together, clack, clack, like tiny applause. "I knew it," she says to Jamal. "You're too nice to be regular." Jamal laughs, a warm, happy laugh, and says, "Thanks, ma'am." The guy in 12C stuffs his pretzels in his mouth and says, "That's the best thing ever." People all over the plane are talking now, whispering, laughing, cheering. He owns it. She's in trouble now. Go, Jamal. It's like a big party, and Jamal's the star. Linda's not part of the party, though. She's shrinking back, trying to hide by the kitchen area. Her face is a mess, red, white, sweaty, scared. She's muttering to herself now, little words like, "No, no, this can't, but it is happening." Jamal's standing tall, phone in hand, looking at her with those steady eyes. "You failed," he says again, slow and clear. "I saw how you treat people. And I don't like it." Boom. That's the thunderbolt again, hitting her hard. She's not the boss, Jamal is. And he's not happy with her. The passengers are loving this. They've been watching Linda be mean all flight, and now they're seeing her get what's coming. "Serves her right," says a man in row 10. "Yeah, she was rude," says a lady in row 16. The kid in row 8 yells, "You're the coolest, Jamal." His mom shushes him, but she's smiling too. The guy in 11C turns around again and says, "Thanks for shutting her up." Everyone laughs, ha ha ha, and the plane feels like a big, happy family now. Jamal's still cool, still confident. He's not yelling or bragging, he's just standing there, letting the truth do the talking. He's the owner, and he's been undercover, watching Linda mess up. That spark in his eyes? It's a fire now, bright and strong. He knew this moment was coming, and he's ready for it. Linda didn't see it, she thought he was just some guy. But he's not. He's the boss, and she's about to find out what that means. So, what's this all about? Jamal bought the airline last week, yup, the whole thing. Planes, pilots, flight attendants, all his. He wanted to see how it works, how his people treat passengers. So he got on this flight, pretending to be regular, sitting in 12B with his little backpack. Linda didn't know. She saw him, decided he didn't belong, and started being mean. But Jamal? He watched her. He heard her muttering. He saw her slam the cart and threaten him. And now he's showing her who's really in charge. Boom. That's the big reveal, friends, the truth that flips everything upside down. The plane's still flying, and the stars are shining bright outside. The cheering slowing down now, but people are still smiling, still clapping a little. Jamal's standing there, the hero of the moment. Linda's up front, the villain who's been caught. What's next? Oh, it's going to be good. Stick around, because this story's not over yet. Hey there, friends. Wow, what a story, right? We just went on a wild ride with Jamal Carter, the guy in seat 12B. So, there you go, Jamal turned a bad day into a big win, and it wasn't just for him. Nope, it was for everyone who's ever been judged or treated unfairly. That's pretty cool, isn't it? Let's talk about it, because this story's got some big lessons that stick with you, like gum on your shoe, but the good kind of sticky. Picture this, Jamal's on that plane, just trying to sit in his seat. He's got his ticket, his little backpack, and a friendly smile. He's not bothering anyone, not a single person. But Linda, that mean flight attendant, decides he doesn't belong. She marches over, all bossy, and says, "This isn't your seat." She mutters stuff like "unbelievable" and "who does he think he is?" She even slams the drink cart by his seat and tells him to move his bag or get kicked off. Ouch. That's not nice, is it? Linda's acting big, like she's the queen of the plane, and she thinks Jamal's a nobody. But guess what? She's wrong, so wrong. Jamal stays cool the whole time. He doesn't yell or cry or get mad. He just smiles and says, "No problem, ma'am," even when Linda's being super rude. Why? Because he's got a secret: he's the owner of the airline. Yup, he bought the whole thing last week and went undercover to see how his people treat passengers. Linda doesn't know that, though. She keeps being mean, thinking she's in charge. But then bam, the captain spills the truth over the intercom. Jamal Carter in 12B is the new owner, he says. The plane goes wild, cheering, clapping, shouting, and Linda's jaw drops. She's not the boss, Jamal is. Then justice happens. Linda stammers, "I didn't know," but Jamal shakes his head. "Doesn't matter," he says. "You don't treat people like that, especially not on my plane." He calls the captain and says, "When we land, Linda's fired." The passengers cheer even louder, and when the plane lands, security takes Linda away. She's muttering excuses, but no one cares. Jamal walks off, shaking hands with happy passengers, while the crew suddenly gets super nice. Funny how that works when the real boss shows up, right? Linda's out, Jamal's in charge, and everyone's smiling. What a win. So, let's think about this, friends. Jamal turned a bad day into something awesome. Linda made it bad. She was mean, unfair, and judgy. She looked at Jamal and decided he was nobody just because of how he looked or acted. But he wasn't nobody, he was the one in charge. Sometimes, the person you think is small or quiet or not important is really the biggest deal in the room. And the ones who act big, like Linda, strutting around like they own everything, they're the ones who fall the hardest when the truth comes out. Isn't that wild? Let's imagine it like this: you're at school, okay. Maybe there's a kid who's quiet, sitting in the back, not making a fuss. Other kids might ignore them or even be mean, saying, "You're not cool," or "You don't belong here." But what if that quiet kid's secretly super smart or really good at something like drawing or soccer or even helping people? Then one day, they show it, bam, and everyone's like, "Whoa, you're amazing." The kids who were mean? They're shocked, and maybe a little embarrassed. That's Jamal. He was quiet, but he had power. And Linda? She's the one who acted big and fell flat. This happens in real life all the time, doesn't it? Sometimes people judge you before they know you. Maybe they look at your clothes or your hair or where you sit and think, "Oh, you're not important." But they don't know your story. They don't know what you can do or who you really are. Jamal's story shows us that doesn't matter what they think, it matters what you do. He didn't let Linda's mean words stop him. He stayed nice, stayed calm, and when the time was right, he showed everyone the truth. That's a win, a big win, not just for him, but for anyone who's ever felt judged. Let's talk about Linda for a sec. She thought she was the boss, right? She walked around with her clipboard, telling people what to do, acting like she ruled the plane. She judged Jamal too fast and decided he didn't belong in 12B. Why? We don't know for sure, but she was wrong. And when she found out he was the owner, she didn't say, "I'm sorry," or "I'll be nicer." Nope, she just said, "I didn't know." Like that makes it okay. But Jamal said it doesn't. Being mean isn't okay, even if you don't know who someone is. That's why she got fired, because she fell hard, and she deserved it. Now, think about this: what if Linda had been nice? What if, when Jamal showed her his ticket, she'd said, "Oh, cool, welcome to 12B, and smiled? Maybe she'd still have her job. Maybe Jamal would have said, "Hey, you're great at this," instead of "you're fired." But she didn't. She chose to be mean, and that choice made her fall. It's like building a tower out of blocks. If you kick someone else's tower down, yours might tumble too. Linda kicked, and down she went. Jamal's different. He didn't kick anyone. He didn't need to act big or loud to prove he was in charge. He just waited, watched, and let the truth do the talking. That's power, real power. Not shouting or pushing people around, but knowing who you are and doing what's right. He turned a bad day into a big win because he stayed strong, even when Linda was mean. And that win wasn't just for him, it was for everyone on that plane who saw it happen. They cheered because they knew, Jamal's the good guy, and good guys win. So, what's the big lesson here, friends? It's simple, but it's huge: don't judge people too fast. You never know who they are or what they can do. The quiet kid, the new kid, the one who doesn't talk much, they might be the next big thing. And if you're mean, like Linda, you might fall hard when the truth comes out. But if you're nice, like Jamal, you can turn bad stuff into good stuff. You can make a win out of a mess. That's inspiring, right? It makes you want to be the good guy, the one who stays cool and helps others. Let's imagine you're on a plane or at school, or on the playground. Someone's being mean, acting big, telling you what to do. What do? Do you get mad and yell back? Do you run away? Or do you stay calm, like Jamal, and wait for your moment? Maybe you don't own an airline, but you've got your own power. Maybe it's being kind, or helping a friend, or standing up when it's right. You don't have to be loud to be strong, you just have to be you. And when you are, the mean ones fall, and the good ones rise. Cool, huh? What do you think, friends? Drop a comment and let me know. Would you have fired Linda? I mean, she was pretty mean, right? Would you have said, "You're outta here," like Jamal did? Or maybe you'd give her another chance? Tell me what's in your head. I love hearing from you. Oh, and where are you watching from today? Are you at home, munching snacks? At school, sneaking a peek? Let me know that too. And if you liked the story, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss the next one. We've got more fun coming your way. Let's wrap this up with one last thought. Jamal's story is like a little light, a bright, shiny one. It says, be nice, be strong, and don't let the mean ones win. Sometimes the person you think is nobody is really the one in charge. And the ones who act big? They're the ones who tumble down. Linda fell hard, but Jamal rose up, and he brought everyone with him. That's a win worth cheering for, a win for all of us who've ever felt small. So keep being you, friends, because you're awesome, and you've got your own big story to tell. See you in the next one.